Welcome back to Finesse Fridays. Happy to have you here with me. I'm going to take you through the process in which we went through to finesse the markets this week. We saw some amazing movement in our swings and incredible moves inside of the profit room, starting with ticker symbol YELP, YELP, providing us over 250% return, hitting our first target range yesterday, as well as revisiting it again today. Ticker symbol WDAY, workday, moving those call options in particular over 400 to 460%, depending on strike, of course. That also hit our second target range today. What a great movement. Also, Netflix, we're going to revisit as that continues to trend in our favor. And I will also discuss a pick from last week that is or was in progress and the outcome of that as well. I'm not just focusing on percentage returns. I want to talk about how important it is to learn this skill set now, especially with what's going on in the news. What are we seeing in the news right now? We're seeing war, we're seeing inflation, we're seeing higher gas prices, economic uncertainty, and for a lot of people, that creates fear. However, for traders that understand structure, that understand the markets, it actually, they see opportunity. And I'll take you through the opportunities that we found this week, despite all that was going on in the world in general. If you tuned in with me last week, you'll know that I was at Babson College. That is a college in Massachusetts. It's actually a top college for entrepreneurs. Who would have ever thought? I didn't know that, even though I do live in Massachusetts. Anyways, as a person, an individual, I'm always learning and developing and sharpening not only my knowledge, but skill sets. Learned a lot about AI and different processes. And with my knowledge, I always come back to make sure that I'm able to incorporate it in everything that we're able to do at the profit room. So in the midst of a quick scanning process that I went through, it was pretty late, Yelp popped up. In particular, I'm going to go through exactly what I loved about this trade setup and the opportunity that it presented. Also, during my time there, that's when we heard about what happened in the Middle East. So I'm thinking to myself, not necessarily going to follow any oil plays or anything like that, stocks related, but setups that can move regardless of the volatility or the potential volatility that was going to be created in the market starting fresh this week. Here goes Yelp chart. I will zoom out so you can see more of the candlesticks, more of the data. Price, downtrend. Still in a downtrend, technically. What I saw was an amazing opportunity, and the opportunity presented itself looking from going into this week. When we're able to count the candles, you'll notice that all 5 days this week, despite the volatility, despite what was happening, the trend was still intact and it managed to move up. This is a very slow moving ticker, as in price took its time. The range is not large. However, because of our entry price and our first exit strategy, this percentage movement within the last 3 to 4 days was actually huge. Over 200, 250%. That is a big deal for something to move up from 22 and change to about 24.50. That just shows the power of the option market, the power of leverage in general. Even from a per share side, it is still great money. And the risk to reward opportunity, we always want to make sure we get at least minimum a 2-to-1, a 3-to-1. And there are times where we can get 7, 8, 9, 10-to-1 risk to rewards. In the case of Yelp, it never pulled back, therefore our stop loss was never at risk. The next ticker, WDAY, amazing movement, may I add. And the chart is very similar to Yelp because price was downtrending, as we can see here. These setups in particular are not necessarily our to-go-to setups. However, I was looking for opportunities regardless of market or potential market volatility. And I understand when it comes to taking trades that are inverse to the dominant trend, we have a higher probability of the trade trending in our favor. Workday, much more of an expensive price stock. Over the last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 days, our entry price being on a Monday, it moved up every single day. I'll get the trend line out, outline the trend, and this followed our process. Huge move, great option return. The concepts in which we utilize each and every single week for our trade setups, this is what we discuss thoroughly inside of our programs. In honor of Women's History Month, this month, the month of March, we're actually providing a 35% off discount on our signature program called Stock Market Stimulus, where you will learn the swing trading process for stocks and options. It's not only for women, although it's Women's History Month, we're also giving men a chance to also partake in the opportunity. As I discuss Netflix, I want you to understand that each and every one of the setups so far that you have seen, once upon a time, price was falling down. As I mentioned, it's not our signature setups. It was the opportunity that presented itself. I also want you to understand as I'm going through these charts, you will also notice that I don't have any indicators on the bottom. I don't have any MACD. I don't have any RSI, any stochastics, any Bollinger Bands. We don't use any of those things in order to find our high probability setups. As we're looking at Netflix, I discussed it last week. It was a trade in progress. It's been on our email list since January. It finally triggered. And we can see this week as price continued to run further up to the top of our exit range. Amazing mover, excellent percentage return. And I'm going to congrats to the student here for their amazing return off of their investment utilizing options from the Netflix play. Congratulations. As promised, ABT. This stock in particular was all about defense. It didn't initially get to our first target. It came very close. The way it trended, the way it moved was enough room for us to decide, are we going to raise our stop loss, which is always advised, especially when price is trending, so we can always keep ourselves in profit. Although this did not hit first target, raising our stop loss in general prevented us from taking the loss, but we were able to just take a small gain. I placed a trend line and I wanted you to see what happens once trend breaks. It's always great to have an understanding that your stop loss can be raised as price is trending. There are times we do not want to move it prematurely. But there are other times where we want to remain in profit, therefore raising our stop loss either to break even or slightly above where we initially have a gain would always place us in the winning position. There's no reason to get stopped out, especially when you have factors showing you that momentum has shifted and momentum has also slowed. A lot of people feel like things are specifically happening to them. Bills are increasing, gas prices are higher, everything's getting more expensive. Here's the thing, but when you develop financial skills, especially market skills, something shifts. You stop reacting to the economy and then you start navigating the economy. This is why I'm so passionate about teaching, because it's not just trading. It's about independence. It's about how money actually works and moves. And once you understand that, your perspective on opportunity, it completely changes. So every Friday when I do these recaps, it's not about the wins, it's not about the losses. I just want people to see the opportunity of mastering this skill set, because it's not a one-day skill set, it's not a weekly or monthly, it's a lifetime skill set. So the question is, did we finesse the markets this week or did the markets finesse us? You know the answer. We finessed the markets.